So did anybody else get spoiled last night with the whole preview for Yashahime that is technically for episode 18? And thought maybe that was the preview for episode 17, like I did? I don't know why I thought it was a preview for episode 17, but apparently, yeah. So, episode 17 just debuted today, and Riku is now on a roll. It seems like whatever he is planning to do seems to be going in motion. Sorry about not recording anything for episode 16. I was sick during that time, so I will probably be referencing episode 16. Honestly, that episode was kind of super fast and super out of the blue. But I loved the development for Moroha. I loved that we finally got to see her fighting alone. It was very short and sweet to get introduced to her new master and also lose her master in that episode, which makes me really think that this whole season, or technically this whole series, there may only be just the one season because everything seems to be moving super fast. And at times, yes, it's slow because we have the filler episodes and everything, but I feel like we're hitting the ground running here and we're almost reaching the end. It just feels like it. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, guys? Maybe season 1 may be the only season we get for Yashahime, or maybe we might be surprised and more information might come for a season 2. But I kind of feel like we're getting to the end here. Episode 17, Trap of the Two Perils. So when Riku meets Konton, he mentions that Kirinmaru, of course, still wants all the rainbow pearls and to get rid of Towa and Setsuna, which I thought was super interesting because he's the one that keeps mentioning about wanting the rainbow pearls and everything. I have a huge hunch, a huge theory that Riku and Zero, the mysterious beautiful demon, is both in on this. I think they're both using each other for mutual benefit, which I will kind of get it more into detail as we break down this particular episode. But of course, after Riku meets with Konton and we head over to Towa and Setsuna, which we see that they are still looking for Mount Musubi, and of course get distracted by a yet another request by Riku to go after the two perils. Then we hop over to Kirinmaru, who is with Zero, and this interaction in this episode was super interesting to me because Zero is the one that opens the conversation to Kirinmaru and says, "You were supposed to go after Sesshomaru like I asked," and he, of course, again shrugs it off like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" And she says, "Yes, you were the one that was supposed to go after him." I think it's so funny that he just kind of like shrugs it off like, "Okay, I guess that's what I was supposed to do. Let me go back to reading my book." I mentioned before that Zero and Riku may be both in on this for mutual benefit. And I still believe that is my big theory for this. Because Zero mentioned in the previous episode, in episode 15, that she was humiliated by Toga and told Sesshomaru that she would not mind if his whole family gets what they deserve. Zero wants, Sesshomaru's family to be destroyed. She wants revenge against what Toga did to her. And then Riku also wants all of the rainbow pearls. I think he's just power hungry at this point. My theory maybe is that since both of them are working together and kind of using each other for mutual benefit, she gets, her revenge, and maybe Riku gets power. He may be a half demon. That man may answer that question. He may still be a demon. I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, he doesn't look like, a full-blooded demon. Well, maybe his looks are just a little different. I absolutely believe that Zero and Inukimi, I think is her name, which is Sesshomaru's mother, I think they're sisters. I think they're related. There was recently a picture that I saw of the two of them together, and it made me think that maybe these two are siblings. If she is supposedly Inukimi's sister, if she wasn't chosen to be, Toga's mate. Maybe Toga was like, nah, you're just not for me. And maybe she did something, go after the family or something like that. Like, you know, I'm the one, I should have been picked, you know, kind of thing. It would make sense then as to, for one, because like I thought, well, wouldn't, you know, Sesshomaru know his aunt? You know, if technically, if this is, you know, somebody related to him, wouldn't he know who his aunt is? Maybe not. Because this could have happened when he was either very little or when he wasn't born yet. And it could be that, you know, she got disowned from the family, maybe removed from the family, or maybe just never introduced to Sesshomaru as his aunt. But maybe he knows, and maybe he just doesn't, you know, acknowledge her as an aunt. It's a very Sesshomaru thing to do, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does know her, because he does seem to know who she is, but he obviously doesn't acknowledge her very much. So that's my theory about who Zero is. I think possibly maybe related to Sesshomaru, maybe not, or maybe she just happens to be another demon that really loved Toga and just didn't get chosen and just has a lot of hostility against it. I don't know. That's just my theory. So as far as the Dream Butterfly and Setsuna and Kirinmaru, I believe there's a connection between all three of these characters. Even Riku says at some point in the episode that Kirinmaru and the Dream Butterfly each have a connection when he's telling Toa about this, because Toa's like, I really don't want to go after the other perils. I want to go and find the Dream Butterfly in order to help Setsuna regain her sleep and regain her dreams. When I put 2 and 2 together, this isn't the first time that Kirinmaru has had problems with his memories. When Kyuki came up to him and we first saw him in that one episode, she has to like remind him about what's going on and who the perils are and why they're connected to him. And I found that super interesting. It's like he lost his memory. So I don't know if that's just because maybe he has like a sleep cycle where he sleeps for a few hundred years and then he wakes up and he like helps out the demons that he like takes over. I don't know. Or since we do have that connection now with the Dream Butterfly, I think Zero is manipulating him and using the Dream Butterfly to put him to sleep, and when he wakes up, because he has that memory loss and everything, she's kind of like manipulating his like memories and saying, yeah, you were supposed to go after Sesshomaru, and you were also, you know, you have these perils, but you're supposed to use them this way, or why aren't you using them? It's just very, very interesting. Even like the prophecy, like I feel like even Zero, even though she mentions that the prophecy is that a half demon or an individual who isn't human and isn't demon, which technically would be a half demon, is what is going to kill him. Maybe even the prophecy is a little off. Because maybe that makes sense as to why Miyoga's like, why would he want to put, you know, this era into a degenerate era? Like, he wouldn't do something like that. I've seen a lot of theories of people saying that Midoriko and Kirinmaru were possibly, like, in love with each other. I kind of like that theory, because it would make sense as to explain why he hates humans and half-demons at this point. Maybe he did have a relationship with her, and something went wrong, and he then started to hate humans and even hate the half-demon that comes from that unity. So it makes sense, but that's a very interesting concept and an interesting theory about Midoriko. And I'm really interested to see, like, just more of Kirinmaru. He's a very interesting character. I don't feel like he's the main villain here. I feel like he's just being manipulated to be the villain. Like, everybody is saying it's Kirinmaru, he's the one that wants degenerate age, he's the one in charge of the 4 perils, he wants the rainbow pearls. But I feel like Riku and Zero, they're manipulating this. Even in the fight when Kirinmaru and Sesshomaru are there with Inuyasha and Kagome, you would think that there would be something even more to that whole, instead of like, you helped them, you know, when Sesshomaru puts Inuyasha and Kagome into the Black Pearl, he's like, you helped them, and he was like, oh, what do you mean? And Jokin explains, saying, so we need, you know, his ability, the Meido Zangetsu later on, but for now, let's just let them respect their tomb, you know, and go see their father's tomb. Kirinmaru's just kind of like, all right, cool, you know, whatever. He just blows it off like nothing. So it just doesn't make sense. Like if he does have this hostility between humans and half demons, but he has this leniency of like, okay, yeah, let's let them, respect the father's tomb and go see that, and we'll save him for later. It's just very weird mannerism, he's got like, he has some respect, but not too much respect. So that's why I feel like Zero and Riku are definitely behind all this and definitely manipulating him and just giving everybody a villain to go after, while they hide in the shadows and just get what they want on the side once this is all over. Continuing on with the episode, we have Totetsu, who is leading all of the girls into a trap that Konton set up. It's kind of like this big, huge force field and everything that he's able to create and maneuver around and everything. So Moroha, of course, is climbing this big, huge rock face and then finds out that another rock face appears for Toa and Setsuna. Toa especially realizes that it's being manipulated around, so even though they're facing one direction, technically it gets moved around and they're actually running in the same direction or opposite direction. It's all crazy. What I found also super interesting, a conversation between, I think it was Toa and Setsuna, but Setsuna mentions that her clan has a special ability to sense like demon energy, I believe is what she referred it to. And I found that super interesting because another theory of mine is that Setsuna, after she lost her dreams to the dream butterfly, that she was then raised by Sesshomaru's mother. Because why would she refer to the clan? I don't think she's referring to the demon slayers, because I guess there are kind of like a clan, but she says clan and refers to the smelling, like being able to sense a certain demon energy. And I feel like that's more like demons. So I think she really is referring to her grandmother. I think she is talking about like dog demon clan. So I think that really kind of was like a little like teaser for what's to come, as far as like who else maybe was involved with raising Setsuna, because I don't think it was just Jokin. I think Jokin was there in the beginning when they were younger, and then maybe as they got older, he sent her to Sesshomaru's mother, and then eventually she went to Kaede when she was a little older. Basically, the end of the episode ends with Toa and Setsuna finally breaking the whole barrier around Konton's diagram that he has, the shield that he was under, and they finally find him, and we get a preview episode for what's to come. It looks like Konton, I'm not quite sure, it doesn't really show in the preview very much that Konton or Totetsu is defeated, but I kind of have a little theory that maybe they did get defeated, because obviously, as the title suggests, we are going to be meeting Kirinmaru and Sesshomaru in this next episode. And my theory is because of what Trikio says long ago. If you guys remember when we first met Trikio, actually the only time we met Trikio, and she mentions that in order to defeat Kirinmaru, you actually have to defeat all 4 perils, and then Sesshomaru and Kirinmaru will appear. So I have a feeling that in this next episode, Konton and Totetsu are both going to they might be defeated in this episode, because it makes sense as to why Kirinmaru and Sesshomaru appears, because of course that's what Trikio says. In this episode, at first, like the first preview that you see, it just kind of shows Kirinmaru there on the beach side, with the 3 girls facing him. But in a different preview, you actually see Sesshomaru fighting Kirinmaru. So maybe Sesshomaru is there protecting the girls. God, somebody mentioned before that, what if Sesshomaru dies in the same way, as Toga did when he was protecting Izayoi? And I was like, don't say that. Why would you say that? We're not getting rid of Sesshomaru. Please, God, please don't get rid of Sesshomaru. That would break my freaking heart. Don't do that. Don't do that. You can't mention stuff like that. It's crazy to know that Sesshomaru, after 14 years, is actually going to speak to his daughters for the first time. Possibly. God, I hope he does speak to them. Crazy episode. Good episode. It was a lot of action. Not so much fighting in this episode, but it was definitely action-packed. I feel like the next episode is going to be obviously a lot more fighting, a lot more action. We're finally going to see Sesshomaru, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. If you guys did like this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts and theories about this episode and exactly how excited you guys are for this next episode, as certainly I'm excited. Subscribe for more geeky content. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget who loves you.